In 1932, the United States Public Health Service walked into Macon County, Alabama, and told 600 black men they were receiving free health care. For the next 40 years, doctors watched these men suffer and die from syphilis, even after penicillin became the standard cure in 1947. The men were never told they had syphilis. They were never treated. They were just observed, like lab rats in a cage. This wasn't some rogue operation. It was funded by the federal government and supported by medical institutions until a whistleblower finally exposed it in 1972. The Tuskegee study is one of the most infamous examples, but it's far from the only dark chapter that got left out of your history textbook. In 1962, the Joint Chiefs of Staff presented President Kennedy with a plan called Operation Northwoods. The proposal outlined a series of false flag attacks designed to justify invading Cuba. The Pentagon suggested hijacking planes, bombing American cities, sinking boats full of Cuban refugees, and staging violent terrorist acts on US soil, all while blaming Castro. The document included detailed scenarios like faking a Cuban attack on Guantanamo Bay and creating lists of fake casualties to stir up public support for war. Kennedy rejected the plan outright and removed its chief architect, General Lyman Lemnitzer, from his position shortly after. The documents remained classified until 1997, when they were released under the Freedom of Information Act. You can read them yourself. They're publicly available in the National Security Archive. On May 13, 1985, the Philadelphia Police Department dropped a bomb on a residential neighborhood. The target was a house occupied by MOVE, a black liberation group. Police had surrounded the row house after disputes with the organization escalated. Instead of continuing negotiations or using conventional tactics, officials authorized a helicopter to drop military-grade explosives on the roof. The bomb sparked a fire. Police were ordered to let it burn. The blaze spread to 61 neighboring homes, destroying an entire city block. 11 people died in the house, including 5 children. More than 250 people were left homeless. A 1986 commission called the decision reckless and unconscionable, but only one officer faced consequences, and he was later released. The city issued an apology in 2020, 35 years later. Between 1953 and 1973, the CIA ran a covert program called MKUltra, designed to develop techniques for mind control and interrogation. The agency dosed thousands of Americans with LSD without their knowledge or consent. Test subjects included prisoners, mental patients, prostitutes, and even CIA employees who had no idea they were part of an experiment. Some were tortured. Others were subjected to sensory deprivation, verbal abuse, and sexual humiliation. Dr. Donald Cameron, working out of McGill University in Montreal, used MKUltra funding to perform experiments involving electroshock therapy, drug-induced comas, and repetitive audio loops played for weeks at a time. His goal was to erase existing memories and reprogram the mind. Many of his patients were left permanently damaged. In 1973, CIA Director Richard Helms ordered all MKUltra files destroyed. What we know today comes from a small cache of financial documents that survived. In the 1920s, hundreds of young women were hired to paint watch dials with radium-based luminous paint. Managers told them the substance was harmless. Supervisors encouraged the women to lick their brushes to keep the tips sharp. Some even painted their nails and teeth with it for fun. Within a few years, the workers began experiencing horrific symptoms. Their jaws rotted, their bones fractured with almost no pressure. Tumors grew throughout their bodies. The companies knew radium was dangerous. Executives used lead screens and tongs to handle it. But they hid studies, suppressed evidence, and fought the women in court for years. It wasn't until 1928 that 5 New Jersey workers, too sick to even raise their arms to swear an oath, won a settlement. Their case led to major labor safety reforms, but dozens of women had already died excruciating deaths. On May 31st, 1921, a white mob descended on the Greenwood district of Tulsa, Oklahoma, one of the wealthiest black communities in America. Over the course of 2 days, rioters looted homes, burned more than 35 blocks, and killed an estimated 300 black residents. Witnesses reported seeing planes dropping incendiary devices on buildings. Thousands of people were rounded up and held in internment camps. Survivors were never compensated. Insurance claims were denied. The massacre was systematically erased from history. It wasn't taught in Oklahoma schools for decades. Death certificates were altered. Newspapers were removed from archives. In 2001, a state commission confirmed the attack and called for reparations, but as of today, none have been paid. Mass graves are still being excavated. In September 1950, the US Navy used giant hoses to spray massive clouds of bacteria over San Francisco. The goal was to test how a biological attack might spread through an American city. For 6 days, military ships released Serratia marcescens and Bacillus globigi into the fog, covering a 117 square mile area and exposing nearly 800,000 residents. The military insisted the bacteria were harmless. But shortly after the tests, 11 people checked into Stanford Hospital with severe urinary tract infections caused by Serratia marcescens, a strain rarely seen in that area. One man, Edward Nevin, died. His family sued the government, but the case was dismissed. Declassified documents later revealed the Navy conducted 239 similar open-air tests across the country between 1949 and 1969. Between 1958 and the late 1970s, the US government systematically removed thousands of Native American children from their families and placed them with white families through programs like the Indian Adoption Project and the Indian Child Welfare Act's precursor policies. Social workers targeted reservations, declaring homes unfit based on culturally biased standards. Children were sent across the country, often without parental consent. Many were told their parents didn't want them. Some were placed in abusive homes. Others lost their language, culture, and identity entirely. By 1978, an estimated 25 to 35% of all Native children had been removed from their families. It took the Indian Child Welfare Act to slow the practice, but the trauma still echoes through generations. These aren't distant myths or fringe theories. They're verified pieces of American history, backed by court rulings, declassified files, and survivor testimony. The uncomfortable truth is that some of the darkest chapters never made it into the classroom, not because they were disproven, but because they were too disturbing to confront. If this video made you rethink what you thought you knew, drop a comment with the one story that hit hardest. And if you want to go even deeper into the hidden side of history, the next video is already waiting.